Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Pittsylvania County's Planning Commission this third day of May 2022. Ms. Rexdale, roll call, please.
Ms. Henderson.
Present.
Mr. Waters.
Present.
Mr. Horn.
Present.
Ms. Meese. Present. Mr. Dalton.
Here.
Mr. Oakes.
Here.
Mr. Harker. Mr. Haymore.
Present. Let the record show 7 present and 1 absent. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand with me and for a moment of silence and pledge to the flag. Gentlemen, if you remove your cap. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Does any citizen have anything they'd like to say that's not on the agenda tonight? Good deal. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion by Ms. Meese,
Second.
second by Mr. Horn. Ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes and 1 absent. Approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Waters,
I'd second it,
Second.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dalton. All in favor? We're ready for a vote. The record shows 7 yes and 1 absent. Ladies and gentlemen, in my report, as most of you know, Mr. Motley, who was former chairman of this board's wife, passed away a few days ago. Mr. Motley was a real pillar on this committee, and I want you to, if you would, remember him in your prayers and thoughts. Fine gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Planning Commission, have empowered to hear and decide specific applications in support of said ordinance and make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors or the Board of Zoning Appeals. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and the best interests of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board regarding the zoning case will be limited to 3 minutes. At 7:03, case R22 008 is open for public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-22-008, Robert and Barbie Eanes have petitioned to rezone 7.41 acres located on State Road 718 Snake Path Road in the Chatham Blair's election district from RC1 Residential Combined Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for 2 dwellings. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Barbie Eanes is here to represent the petition.
Ms. Ames, do you have anything that you'd like to add or comments you'd like to make that's not in our packet? Come around, please, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you. I would like to add that there's been some misunderstanding about what we're wanting to do. We are not opening up a mobile home park. We are just rezoning to A1. We would like to possibly put 2 residences on the property. We were planning on building our house there when we purchased the property, but we have bought another house, so therefore we are looking at another alternative on our property.
Any questions for Ms. Eames? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I understand some folks have signed to speak. Brian Loeb. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening, sir. Ma'am. So, as far as myself, I'm opposed to anything that will allow a mobile home now or in the future in our neighborhood for several reasons. We all know how narrow the road is. It's just a lot of changes and things that would not be advantageous to us. I would recommend dividing the land into 2 properties as opposed to rezoning. You know, if someone wants 2 dwellings, just divide the land and put one on each piece of property as opposed to doing the rezoning, because someone in the future could use that and put a mobile home park in there.
Any commission have any questions? This gentleman.
Sir, are there currently mobile homes in this area? I live about a mile or so away from here. Are there currently any mobile homes there?
There's one mobile home down the road from it, just not far, by itself on a piece of property. It's been there for, I don't know how many years, but a very long time. It's an old mobile home that would not be able to be moved.
Right.
Again.
Is there a double wide in the area also, or no?
Double wide. What do you consider the area? Mile, 2 miles?
Yeah, roughly.
Yes, there is a double wide, 3/4 of a mile or so up from it that I
Okay.
know of, or 2.
Emily, did you say that this property could or couldn't be subdivided?
This property does not currently have enough road frontage to be subdivided into 2 lots. It could possibly, if it's rezoned to A1, be split into 2. It would depend on how many times it's been split previously and whether or not it would fall under the subdivision ordinance. I don't know that off the top of my head. I would have to look into that. But as it currently stands right now, it does not have enough road frontage by our records in order to create 2 lots out of this piece of property.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? For this?
Ms. Ragsdale, correct me if I'm wrong. Under A1 agricultural, isn't there a limit on how many mobile homes can be on the property?
So A1 only allows for 2 dwellings. So it allows for stick-built, modular, single-wide, and double-wide. RC1, which it currently is, allows for 1 dwelling, but those dwellings can be stick-built, modular, single-wide, or double-wide by right.
But under A1 agricultural, it can never be more than 2,
No,
correct?
that's correct. It can only be 2.
There you go.
Okay.
And it currently is RC1, which means they could put one there now with no
Correct.
permit or anything.
Well, they would need a building permit,
Yeah.
but they would not be required to get a special use permit. That is permitted by right currently under its zoning.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tom
Yes,
Martin,
sir.
I believe your wife, I presume, wanted to speak. Come around, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome.
I was actually told by the applicant that they intended to put a mobile home park on there, and that being the case, whether they can or not, I do know that this zoning that you are this classification you're trying to put it under, says a dwelling no close, each dwelling has to have 20,000 square feet of property. I would think 7 acres could handle more than that.
But Ms. Ragsdale stated that no more than 2 could go on that piece of property,
That's according to the code.
according to the code.
Okay, because I did not see that listed in other uses of 35.178.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's actually listed in a separate section of the code, and if you would like for me to find it, it would just take me a second, but A1 and C1 are the only two districts that allow for 2 dwellings on the property. They do not allow for more than 2 dwellings. That's single-family dwellings. None of them allow for multifamily dwellings to be placed. That has to be zoned multifamily. Mobile home parks are only allowed in properties zoned manufactured housing park. And the way that the manufactured housing ordinance reads, even if a person owns 3 separate tracts of land that have mobile homes on them, and they are adjacent to each other, that is classified as a mobile home park and therefore would not be allowed unless it was zoned manufactured housing park. My personal recommendation would never be to rezone this piece of property to manufactured housing park. It would give this property uses that are not shared by adjacent properties, and would not be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan designates this property as agricultural and rural residential, so therefore I would not recommend this be rezoned to mobile home manufactured housing park. I would consider that illegal spot zoning, just for your knowledge.
Thank you, Ms. Ragsdale. Denise Williams. Good evening, Ms. Williams. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I just want to start off first by saying, I actually am responsible for 2 pieces of land that are adjacent to this piece of property. And I've known Miss Eanes here for a long time, since I was a little kid, when my mom and dad had a pizza restaurant. But I do have concerns about the rezoning. First of all, I didn't get the letter until Saturday, so didn't have a whole lot of time to do my research as I would have liked to come to speak. But there are a lot of things listed under the ordinance as what is allowed and what is not allowed that are concerning to me. One being the multi-dwelling piece. And I say that because we have neighbors just in front of us, just before, well, 2 pieces of property before ours. That land had some mobile homes on it. It was owned by a single person, and there were multiple mobile homes there. Family members came in, moved in, what have you. But those dwellings were allowed to significantly depreciate and lower the property values. We used to call one of the trailers the Taj Mahal of trailers that kept getting added onto and added onto and added onto. And it was just an eyesore for our neighborhood, and I think a piece of our community. I'm not saying that that's going to happen here. I don't know what the future is, but I do know that the possibility of something like that is a huge concern to me, because we finally got rid of those 2 trailers that were there creating that eyesore, and I'd like to see them not come back. In addition to that, one of the things is about a tenant farm or something along those lines that could potentially have animals and that kind of thing. We have already had that same area just that I was speaking of before, that has had cows and goats and chickens and ducks and geese and all number of kinds of animals that caused a lot of difficulty in the neighborhood as far as the traffic is concerned. Cows in the road, chickens in the road, people running over things, doing damage to their vehicles and that kind of thing. So that is a concern. I also have a concern with the multi-dwelling piece or whatever. I would like to see the land used for the purpose that it was originally intended for. Most of the homes in our area have more than 1 acre lots, multiple acres, and I would hate to see that change in that specific area of the neighborhood. But I also have an elderly mother who has a swimming pool next door, and that's another concern, as it's going to, if multiple homes come in, that's another possibility of increasing insurance and that kind of thing. So I am concerned about that. So just want to make those concerns known, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Chad Kessler. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening, y'all. I'm a little bit confused when I started this as to why I'm here, because I got one of the biggest frontages to this property, and I didn't even get a letter, anything in the mail telling me what's going on. Second of all, I'm concerned, like all the people behind me, for what may or may not happen. Everything's disputable. So, but I guess I've learned one thing, that if you got a piece of property that can only put one dwelling on, we can come up here and ask you to change it and get two. To me, somehow that doesn't come out exactly right. But I'm not making a decision, I'm just disputing my case that I'm concerned, it's in my backyard. I don't think anybody else would want to see anything in their backyard. Now, I know the property's theirs, it ain't mine. I'm just saying. I didn't get a letter. The sign that says we're supposed to be here tonight, the way I read it, says that it's supposed to have been put up 2 weeks prior to this hearing. It was put up Sunday before last. I guess I'm just stating my case is that I'm not for any of this. I didn't get a letter to tell me to be here tonight. I had to hear it through hearsay. But that's what gets me, that I've learned tonight, that we can just ask for our land to be rezoned and we can put multiple dwellings. Somehow, I think there's other rules that go along with it too that's not being said tonight about outdwellings, buildings, sheds, other things that the rules get bent on a little bit because it's agriculture instead of residential like I had to abide by. And I thank you for listening to me, but that's all I have to say.
Any questions?
Mr. Ragsdale, is it any kind of an issue with this because he did not get letter or notification?
He was sent a letter. He was sent a certified letter. I have the receipt right here. Are you Chadwick Kessler?
Yeah, do you know where it's at?
I mean, it would be with the post office. I don't know.
Ms. Ragsdale, excuse me. Where I worked previously, it cost a little more, but are they signed? When you send, you can get the certified letter, but the person has to sign saying that he received it. That's just something extra might be considered.
Well, that's when the certified letter is sent, we send them certified. That's required by state law that all rezoning notifications go by certified mail. They do have to be signed for by the recipient, and the post office is supposed to leave a note stating that they attempted to deliver a certified letter. Whether or not they did, I cannot speak for them because I don't work with the post office, and that's out of my control, but we did mail a letter to that address.
Okay.
Anyone else? That's all I had on for the public hearing to speak. If not, it's 7:18, case R 22008 is closed to public hearing. Mr. Wallace.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out and expressing your concerns over this particular case. I've talked to Ms. Eanes today, I've talked to Ms. Ragsdale today to get clarification on what is planned. And if I understand correctly from Ms. Eanes, nothing is immediately planned anyway, but they just seeking to rezone it at this particular time. Ms. Ragsdale has assured us that there will be no mobile home park on this property. And and currently, if she wanted to put a mobile home there, the way that it's zoned now, she could. But this does allow for another one on the property if it's rezoned. So, and there are other mobile homes in the area. So my recommendation is that to concur with the staff's recommendation to go ahead and approve the request, send it to the Board of Supervisors for their review. And it's case R 22008, submitted by Robert and Barbie Eanes to rezone 7.41 acres located on State Road 718, which is Snake Path Road, which is right down the road from my personal residence in the Chatham Blair's district. since the subject property is adjacent to properties already zoned A1, the rezoning would be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So I concur with the recommendation to approve the case.
Motion by Mr. Waters,
I second it.
second by Ms. Mees. Any further discussion? Not, we're ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes and 1 absent. So in case R22008, 7.41 acres will be rezoned from RC1 to A1 and recommended to the Board of Supervisors. At 7:20, case R22009 is open for public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-22-009, Ronnie Warren has petitioned to rezone 2.91 acres located on State Road 622 Cascade Road in the Tunstall Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for an accessory building to be placed on a property without a dwelling. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Ronnie Warren is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Warren, you have anything that you'd like to add or say to the commission that's not in the packet, sir? Okay. Any questions for Mr. Warren from any of the commissioners? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we change the zoning on R-22-009 from R1 to A1 to allow for accessory building.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Second, motion been duly second.
Did we close that public hearing?
We didn't, I was gonna say, he jumped the gun. I'll close it now.
Okay. That works.
It's 7:22. Case 22-009 is closed to public hearing. We'll take go ahead, Mr. Oakes, if you would, please, sir.
Okay, sir. I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we change the zoning on track or case R-22-009 from R1 to A1 to allow for accessory building.
Motion by Mr. Oakes. The second.
Yes,
Second.
sir. I second it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Not, we're ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes and 1 absent. So in case R22009, request to rezone 2.91 acres from R1 to A1 has been approved and will be recommended to the Board of Supervisors. At 7:23, case R22015 is open for public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-22-015, Bradley and Shannon McEwen have petitioned to rezone 34.9 acres located on State Road 57, that's not correct, Halifax Road, in the Bannister Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for agricultural uses. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Bradley McEwen is here to represent the petition.
Karen, you have any comments or anything that you'd like to state that we do not have in the packet? Does anyone have any questions for this gentleman?
What exactly are you having in mind as far as agricultural uses?
Do you mind, I'm sorry, do you mind coming to the podium? That's okay. They just can't pick you up on
Yes, sir. We'd like to be able to fence in for a couple horses we're bringing and have the appropriate horse to acreage ratio to keep the land in good shape for the
Okay.
reason they're there.
Any other questions for this gentleman? I thank you, sir. So 725, case R22015 is closed to public hearing. Mrs. Henderson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in the case of R22015, I do make a motion that we submit to the Board of Supervisors request that this zoning be changed from R1 to A1.
A motion by Ms. Henderson.
Second.
Second.
Me.
Mr. Horn. Any further discussion? Not, we're ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes, 1 absent in case R22015, request to rezone 34.9 acres from R1 to A1 to be recommended to the Board of Supervisors. At 726, case S22-005 is open for public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-22-005, Joseph and Louis Morrison have petitioned for a special use permit on 1 acre located on State Road 685 Telegraph Road in the Bannister Election District for the placement of a double-wide mobile home. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Jaleesa Murphy is here to represent the petition.
Ms. Murphy, do you have anything that you'd like to add or comments you'd like to make that we don't have in the packet? Okay, is any questions for this lady?
What is currently there? Thank you.
Good evening. We had a stick bill there. It burned down the end of January.
Okay.
So we were.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you so much. We're just trying to rebuild and
Thank you.
put something back on there.
Any other
That's all I
questions for
have.
this lady while we're here? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
727, case S22005 is closed to public hearing. Ms. Henderson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in the case of S22-005, the zoning request, which is a special use permit, I do make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals that this be approved.
Motion by Ms. Henderson,
Second.
second by Ms. Meese. Any further discussion? Not, we're ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes and 1 absent. That case S22005, request for a special use permit on 1 acre of land, be recommended to the Board of Zoning Appeals. At 728, case S22007 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-22-007, Sally Norcutt has petitioned for a special use permit on 3.28 acres located on State Road 691 Motley Road in the Bannister Election District for the placement of a single-wide mobile home. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Sally Norcutt is here to represent the petition.
Ms. Sally, do you have anything you'd like to state that we do not have in the packet? Any questions from Ms. Norcutt? Sally and I go way back. Good to see you, lady. So if not, At 7:29, case S-22-007 is closed to public hearing. Ms. Henderson, you on a roll, my lady.
For the second month in a row. Mr. Chairman, in the case of S-22-007, I'd like to make a motion that we do recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals to recommend an approval for this special use permit request.
Motion by Mrs. Henderson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Oaks. Any further discussion?
Mr. Dalton.
Was it you, Darrell? I'm
Don't make
sorry.
any difference. No.
Motion, second by Mr. Dalton. I thought it.
That's fine.
Any further discussion? No, we're ready for a vote.
My connection's offline. It's off, it just went offline.
Try it now. I think you're back on.
Mine went off one, didn't it?
It says it's online now, but I can't get it back.
Sally, you jinxed us.
What?
Karen?
There you go. Sorry about that. I didn't touch
Can't
it.
help that. Let the record show 7 yes and 1 absent in case S-22-007, request for special use permit on 3.28 acres be recommended to the Board of Zoning Appeal. At 7:32, case S-22-008 is open for public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-22-008, Green Genie LLC has petitioned for a special use permit on 322.85 acres located on State Road 686 Elkhorn Road in the Bannister Election District to operate ATV trails. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, a representative from Green Genie LLC is here to represent the petition.
Sir, come around. Good evening, sir. You have anything you want to add that we do not have in the packet?
Nothing to add, that's not in the packet. We've been basically in the process of rezoning our property, getting everything straight to open up trails. We actually just purchased some more property. That's why we're adding on another special use permit for the ATV trails for this newly acquired property.
Any questions for this gentleman?
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Looks like a piece of property between the property that you bought. It's got some houses on it. How far are these trails gonna be from them dwellings?
I believe what the stipulation was on our special use permit that we got with our other property is we had to keep the trails at least 100 feet from the actual property line. Where the trails are right now, the existing trails are right now, and old trails that we're trying to repurpose once this gets approved, there's no housing around there, those trails. The 91 acres that we just purchased, I believe that belonged to Mr. Gregory Maynard. That had actually already been cut over. Right now, we're working with the forestry department to go ahead and build that area back up, but we have not, we don't plan on cutting any major trails over there, and we're definitely will keep it out of eyeshot of any houses. The 18 acres that is on Elkhorn Road itself, that property, we don't look at putting trails on at any time, or at any point in time right now. but we just want to roll that up with the rest of the property. That's the one that actually has residential lots right along there.
Okay, I was thinking back to noise close to the houses. You know, you don't want to get too close to them.
So we'll try to, as I said, we'll try to maintain that distance that was put in on the other special use. And we want to keep all of our neighbors happy. So if there is going to be a lot of noise that's bugging people, we'll be more than happy to accommodate them and move the trails further off. But the property just going around the lake itself should not disturb anyone.
Any further questions for this gentleman?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. Is this the property at Elkhorn Lake?
Yes,
part of it?
It's actually Elkhorn Lake.
Okay.
Green Genie is at the actual property owner, is the company that holds the property. Elkhorn Lake and Campground, Inc. is an operating company operating on that property.
Okay.
And then the ATV trails themselves is going to be a separate entity. It's going to be LLC.
Because, I mean, it's been trails there for several years, hasn't it?
There were trails out there for a while. My uncle is the actual owner of the property itself. He brought me on back in 2020 to help with the campground. I've since taken over the campground and have gotten with the county as well as state officials to make everything right out there. That's why when I came out there, I shut down the trails after talking with Mr. Ragsdale, and now I'm trying to do everything correctly.
Right. And going back to Mr. Oak's question too about the noise, is there a time that they have to quit riding, or can they ride all night, or?
No, it's 4 days a week is what it's set up for in our, what we got with our old special use permit, and that's Thursday through Sunday. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Ragsdale, the hours of operation are what, 10 to 6?
10 a.m. to 8 p.m. The conditions are stated in the packet here, so you are aware of the conditions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I just don't have a copy in my hand.
Right,
I
and
apologize.
going back to your statement about the 100-foot buffer between the property lines, this states a 100-foot vegetative buffer. So does that mean that we have to plant to,
If it's not there, it would need to meet our ordinances, regulations for a vegetative buffer. But if there's existing vegetation there, it would be left. And in my conversations, we have discussed that they would like to leave, they don't want to go in and clear cut. They would go in and cut trails, but would not take out existing vegetation for anything other than what's necessary for trails.
thank you.
Any further questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
738, case S 22008 is closed to public hearing. Ms. Henderson, your last chance.
The rest of us can just go home.
That's right.
Get out of here. Mr. Chairman, I would like to address the gentleman if it's all right. He didn't have to come up. That's okay. Just want to say thank you, first of all, for bringing, I think it's going to be a wonderful outdoor activity to our area and our county. I think that's an improvement, and we're glad you chose us. So that's one. And also, I do see that no one has called me or emailed me in opposition. So I will gladly sign on to this. All right, so Mr. Chairman, thank you for that. In the case of S22-008 for Green Genie LLC, I'd like to make a motion that we do make a recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals to approve the special use permit with conditions as noted. I don't have any extra conditions to add unless someone would like to add them. But I would like to see this approved.
Motion by Ms. Henderson. Second.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Mr. Dolan. Any further discussion? Not, we're ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes, 1 absent in case S-22-008, special use permit on 322.85 acres be recommended to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Thank you. Ms. Ragsdale, do we have anything else? Old business?
We do not have any old business. We will have 5 rezoning cases, and 2 special use permit cases next month. And we will also have a variance. You won't hold a public hearing on that, but state code requires that we bring that variance application before it goes to BZA, so you can make a recommendation if you so choose to do so. So that will come before you next month. Additionally, I would just like to remind you all that we will be having training on Monday at 5 p.m. here. So if you have not gotten your dinner orders to Robin, please do so that we can make sure we place that in enough time to give them adequate time to get it prepared for us. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Ragsdale. Any commissioner have any comments or anything? Not, we adjourn. Thank you all.